welcome back to More Than You Can Chew. I'm excited. This one's going to be pretty quick and easy, but we want to do a breakdown of Automotive SEO 101, right? How do car dealerships actually get found when people are searching, right? So it's a topic every dealership has heard about, but surprisingly, in this day and age, there's still a lot of common mistakes being made. Now, we're talking about why one dealership shows up first in Google, right? Why your competitor might dominate searches like Ford F-150 for sale near me, or why website traffic has dropped even though you didn't change anything, right? We're going to talk about some of these things. This episode's for you because automotive isn't just ranking higher, right? It's about showing up when buyers are actively shopping. It's about earning visibility across Google Maps, organic search, and now being surfaced in AI-driven search experiences, generative experiences, and ultimately turning searches into showroom visits and leads. It's about not just waiting until people are at the event horizon ready to purchase. It's about influence people along the path to purchase. So we're going to break it down, right? What is it? What matters? Common mistakes we see made, and practical things you can improve immediately. So whether you're a dealer, principal, GM, marketing manager, or just trying to understand what your agency is talking about, let's get into it. Let's take a bite off More Than We Can Chew. So at its core, search engine optimization, SEO, is the process of helping your dealership appear when people search for vehicles, services, or automotive questions online. Use trucks near me, Honda dealer in Pensacola, best SUV for family of 5, Ford Bronco versus Jeep Wrangler, oil change near me. The list goes on. The important thing is to understand this. Different searches represent different stages of the buying journey. Different searches have different intents. And so you need to make sure that you have the right formatting, the right context, the right structure. That number one, first explicitly addresses the intent, the need the person has, and then you need to anticipate their additional questions. You've often heard to it as query fan out. Some people refer to it as information gain. Some people saying information gain is wrong, but it doesn't matter what other people say. We're talking today, right? So it's about the idea of being a tour guide, providing the consumer answers to things they haven't even thought to ask yet, right? So in automotive SEO, we typically think about things in very high level buckets, right? There's a lot more to intent than this, but we're going to, like I said, we're keeping it simple today. So number one, there's transactional searches. These are high intent searches, meaning people are demonstrating explicitly that they have an intent to look at inventory or get service. So new Toyota Camry for sale, Chevy Silverado lease deals, used SUVs near me. These people are close to taking action. There are also commercial searches, mid-funnel folks. These are people who are comparing and doing some additional research after they ask those long-tail questions to get started. Things like Honda CR-V versus Toyota RAV4. Best mid-size truck. Is the Kia Telluride reliable? These shoppers are evaluating options. And then, of course, there are information searches, top of funnel folks. So transactional, bottom of funnel, commercial, middle of funnel, and informational, top of funnel. You might hear them referred to as BOFU, MOFU, and TOFU. So these TOFU searches, informational searches, are things like, how long do hybrid batteries last? What does towing capacity mean? How often should I rotate my tires? These shoppers, or folks, may not be shoppers today, I should say, maybe not ready to buy today, but you can still build trust and visibility here. Again, we're talking about influencing people towards action, being in front of them to guide them towards purchasing and putting you top of mind all along the way. So that is the biggest mistake many dealerships make, is focusing only on bottom of funnel searches. But it's about, again, owning visibility throughout that entire journey. Automotive SEO is different than other types of industries, right? You have unique challenges. You have inventory turnover, right? Your inventory hopefully changes constantly, right? So VDPs will expire daily. So there are issues with, duplicate content risks, authority dilution, indexing challenges, right? So there are different things that are dynamic about your website that, say, a dentist doesn't have to worry about. You have local competition, right? If this is local SEO, you're competing against nearby dealerships. But you're also competing against others, like third-party marketplaces, OEMs, and then, of course, to get the click, even Google itself, trying to get people through to look at your website. And then, of course, OEM website limitations, right? There are a lot of those templated platforms, so duplicated page structures, limited technical control, identical content. The dealerships that win organically usually create differentiation through localized content, better alignment with searcher intent, better user experience, stronger Google business profiles, demonstrating deeper expertise. Now, you're going to say, Dane, I understand all that, but how much is AI search really changing the game for local? Well, fortunately, we're doing a study right now, 1,600 keywords across 3 distinct markets. And the thing is, those bottom of funnel searches, they're not really being impacted. About a 3 to 5% chance of an AI overview triggering in those search results. So we're still seeing a lot of the same 10 blue links and local pack you're used to seeing. Now, sure, AI is on its way. It just hasn't figured out local yet. Now, mid-funnel and high-funnel content is different because even though you can localize it, it's not exactly that someone needs the answer from a local dealership. So that is sort of changing the game. But bear in mind that when platforms like ChatGPT need to do a grounded search, it's called grounded search. There's training data, and then there's grounded search for these platforms like ChatGPT. Grounded means it needs to ground the answer in some source of truth. And what is that they turn to? Search indexes, Bing's, Google's. I bet you can actually see Google business profile information being brought into ChatGPT outputs. So again, we are now seeing a shift from 10 blue links to those recommendations, those recommended answers, those citations. But remember, you're not going to get found if your logo and your name is not showing up. Right? So Google's AI overviews summarize information directly in search results. As I said, LLMs like ChatGPT use Google's index to create their outputs. So your dealership's not just competing to rank, you're competing to be cited, trusted, and recommended. And that changes content strategy dramatically. Let's talk about probably the most important parts of automotive SEO, and we can't not talk about Google business profile. If you ignore everything else from this episode, remember this. Your GBP is your single most important SEO asset. It is often the storefront, the first thing people see when they're conducting their searches. And that's particularly true for local intent searches, right? Again, when someone types in near me or city state or nearby and other localized terms, right? Google Maps results often dominate visibility. So key areas dealerships should optimize. Make sure you have the correct primary category. So often we see used car dealer for a new franchise dealer who is in a highly competitive market. Make sure you have the hours correct. Add high quality photos and up to 30-second videos. Be authentic. People want to see more than just the cars. They can see cars anywhere. They want to see who they're going to give their business to, what they're going to encounter and interact with and see and do when they get there. So the waiting area or business lounge. So make sure you're capturing even the people at the dealership. Review generation. This is important. Reviews are a huge ranking factor. Make sure you are sourcing a regular cadence of reviews. There is even evidence that shows you don't necessarily have to get the most reviews, but the most consistent addition of new reviews added. So that cadence is important. Your review responses. Remember, review responses, you're responding not just to the person, more importantly, you're responding to everybody else, right? You're writing that response for everybody else who's going to see that. So you need to make sure you show that you care about the experience at your dealership. Service-specific content, Google posts, right? Google posts are not a ranking factor, but they're a conversion factor. Try to drive more highly engaged people through from your GBP to your website. Again, to underscore it, reviews matter tremendously. Again, not just quantity, but freshness, consistency, and sentiment. Make sure that your team is doing a good job to earn good reviews. And the other thing too is, and I know this is about GBP, but don't be afraid. Actually, I encourage you to get reviews across a variety of platforms, right? Diversify your portfolio of reviews, as these are other platforms are often used for recommendations, for understanding consumer sentiment. So not just GBP, but every platform you possibly can. Inventory pages, right? That's sort of your lifeblood in automotive SEO. The purpose is to sell cars, right? And so when you get to SRPs, your search result pages, like used SUVs for sale or new Honda CR-V for sale in Pensacola, don't just rely on the title tag and the heading. So often, dealership websites on these SRPs have no additional content. You need something that is going to be evergreen on that page because inventory is going to come and go that gives additional context about who this page is most important for. So, what are some of the most important pieces of information people need to learn about your used SUVs or your Honda SUVs or CRVs for sale, right? Content strategy. Content, I hate to say it, is still king, but not in the old, hey, just publish a blog every week kind of way. The best automotive content today solves real world shopper questions, trim comparisons, performance guides, reliability discussions, feature breakdowns, local buying considerations. That's huge. Things like EV ownership questions if you sell EVs, right? Make sure you're providing actual information based on real world consumer search and not just writing for the sake of writing. I call that fluff garbage, right? The best dealership content aligns with actual search intent, not what you want to talk about or that your agency is just making up by throwing spaghetti at the wall and sees what sticks. It's about what the shopper actually wants answered. Technical SEO sounds intimidating, but a few basics matter heavily, right? Make sure that you are on a mobile first site, mobile usability. Pick up your phone and navigate across your site. Look at the content. Are pictures pushing the content below the fold? Are things not working? Buttons, right? So make sure you experience the website itself. Internal linking. Internal linking is largely how Google can help find and discover new content to index and understand that content's relevant to your overall topical authority. Structured data, so schema markup. Oftentimes, single point dealerships will have organization schema when they should have auto dealer schema. And then just cleanness, navigability, being able to get through the site so it's crawlable, findable. So make sure things make logical sense about where they're at and how they're sort of intertwined in the web work of your website. Oftentimes, there are actually duplicate pages, or as I said, general website platform generic templated pages, crawl traps, broken pagination, bloated URL structures. Right, so technical cleanup can often create pretty big gains, especially on large inventory websites. Make sure things are good, done well. Again, oftentimes, new inventory pages, it'll say 80, some website platforms dynamically insert the volume, but it'll say 83 new in city state. New what? New appliances? No, you're selling cars. And if you're a Honda dealer, specifically, you're selling new Honda cars. So make sure that the context is there. Remember, these systems are pattern detection. So have the right patterns in place for discoverability. Let's talk about some common SEO mistakes. Dealerships can waste a lot of SEO effort. And mistake number one is chasing rankings instead of revenue. Ranking number one for irrelevant searches means nothing. Traffic without conversions is vanity. The goal is qualified visibility, qualified traffic, and hard conversions, people submitting forms, chatting, and calling your dealership. That's what's going to give you opportunities to sell cars. And number two, with the way search is evolving, with generative experiences, ranking doesn't even exist. Mistake number two, I've mentioned this a few times, duplicate OEM content. If your page says the exact same thing as 500 other dealerships, why would Google prioritize you? They won't. One of the first things Google applies in its algorithm is called content effort. How easy is it to duplicate a page of content? It assesses how easy that is, and if you have duplicate content, you're telling them it's pretty easy because it's already been done. So make sure you are making your pages truly unique, especially your About Us pages. So often I see the same generic content on the About Us pages. Tell your true story about your dealership. Ignoring local signals, mistake number three, right? Google cares deeply about proximity and local relevance, so localized content matters. Speaking in clear terms about where you operate, in clear terms about where your customers come from, describing even your test drive routes. Anything that can localize content, as well as writing about your community. Are there events coming up that you're participating in? Let's have local content about that. Mistake number 4, thin service pages. Many service departments lose visibility because their pages are just too generic. An oil change page shouldn't be 40 words long. Oftentimes, I'll see a general service page that doesn't even mention the services. Mistake 5, treating SEO like it's a one-time task. It's ongoing. Competitors evolve, Google evolves, inventory changes, consumers evolve, search behavior changes. SEO requires continuous refinement. It's not mystic. It's not something that you can't grasp. SEO is just applying best practices on every page of content across your site. Let's just break down very simply what matters most in 2026. So I said we're keeping it short and sweet and easy, right? Number 1, relevance. Does your content truly answer the query? Clarity. Is your information clearly structured for humans first, but also for search systems? Authority. Does Google trust your dealership? So we're talking about links, mentions, reviews, citations, good brand reputation. Entity recognition. Can these platforms, Google and LLMs, clearly understand who you are, what you sell, where you operate, and what topics you're authoritative on? Experience. Can shoppers easily navigate, compare, contact, and convert? Because increasingly Google measures user satisfaction signals, not just keywords on pages. Automotive SEO today is bigger than rankings. It's about visibility, trust, authority, earning recommendations, becoming the dealership Google feels confident showing to shoppers. The dealerships that win moving forward won't necessarily be the ones producing the most content, but they will be producing the clearest, the most trustworthy, and the most helpful experiences for buyers. And honestly, it's probably the way it should be. So, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, reach out, share it with someone in automotive marketing, right? Take it to your leadership team who think maybe it's still just adding keywords to a page. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for taking off a bite of more than we can chew, and I'll see you next time.